Welcome to Chapter 2 of Stress Management for Exercise Technology. Self-assessment. The major challenge of stress management is to determine what causes your stress. Things that cause my stress is when they don't spell check what they write, right, in the notes. So what causes your stress, right? So taking the self-assessment, what causes you to stress out, or what causes stress in your life? What factors are related to unnecessary stress, and how your stress level relates to the stress levels of others. Okay, so not only looking at what's happening around you that causes you stress, but your relationship and how you deal with that and what that now projects out to others as well. Where are you now stress-wise? Many tools to assess stress are presented in this chapter. You can assess your stress. You can figure out the symptoms of your stress, perceived stress scale. Right? There's some things that, we don't get rid of all our stress. Sometimes there's just little things that pop up like, oh, this little tiny thing breaks in your house. Easy fix. Maybe your air conditioner goes down in the middle of summer in South Florida. Not an easy fix, and definitely not something that you can sit through, right? It's too hot down here. So that could be a higher stress, okay? We'll look at the inventory of college students' recent life experiences. We'll also look at the Ardell Wellness Stress Test. So all these ones will help you to determine your different stress, okay? And again, these are all these different tools. If you're going to use multiple ones, well, you'd hopefully find that they would all kind of point in the same direction, give you some clarity. But when we've gone through some of these with some of the students, sometimes it's all over the place with some of their things. So don't let that stress you out as well. Also do the student stress scale, stress vulnerability factors, tombstone test, daily stress diet. All right. So one of the things that people do to deal with their stress is meditation. Right. So meditation is a way of, basically not only slowing down your breathing, but you're just kind of slowing down your heart rate, just bringing everything to a more calm, manageable physiological practice. Right. You try to slow your mind. You try to relax, right? And again, I keep saying try because sometimes meditation works well for some and not well for others, right? So it may not work for you, and that's okay too. Don't let that add to your stress, right? People who regularly practice meditation have slower breathing rates, breathe more efficiently, use the oxygen they breathe in a more effective manner. Natural physiological changes during meditation include decreased oxygen consumption and lessened respiratory rate. Okay, you're not huffing and puffing, right? You're practicing on taking in deeper breaths and breathing out for a slow amount of time. Assess your stress. So physiological indicators of stress is your resting heart rate. People that are stressed out tend to have high resting heart rate, respiratory rates. And then a stressometer, so a scale of 1 to 10, right? So 1 is nothing's really bothering you, or it's very, very, very little. Through 10 is if you're maxed out or you feel like you're beyond maxed out on stress. Is rate your past month stress level. Most of you during this COVID crisis, and again, it seems like we get hit with things every week. We went through the COVID, and they had a quarantine, then we had the murder hornets. Now we've got, a lot of things going on in our society with, really bringing to surface the racism that's occurring, the riots, that are coming about from that, and and how that affects you. And 2020 has just been one of those, at least for me, It's been a very, very stressful year. A lot of folks have been losing their jobs. There's a lot of things going on during this particular year. To me, this is probably the most stressful year that I've lived through in my life. Maybe not the most severely stressful times necessarily, but it just seems to be an ongoing thing this year. It just seems like it's one thing after the next. Okay. So assess your stress form. Basically, you're going to, determine whether your resting heart rate, your beats per minute, breathing pattern. You breathe more from the stomach, the chest, or both. Respiration rate, how many breaths per minute, and then you also indicate where you fall on the stress. So what's normal? Heart and respiration rates can change with stress. So normal heart rate range is from 50, excuse me, I don't know why I keep going. 50 to 100 beats per minute, an average of 70 to 80. Normal respiration rate is 12 to 16 breaths a minute. Chest breathing is associated with stress, while abdominal breathing is associated with relaxation. And sometimes one of the things with that between chest and abdominal breathing is that you can train yourself to do that. Okay. And again, some people have maybe never been trained on doing abdominal breathing versus chest, and it's more natural for them to rise and fall the chest, right? And so sometimes they've got to learn to do that. But through your perception, I guess one yawn after another, almost gone. Your perception of stress is instrumental in how your body responds. What do your results tell you about your stress level, right? So again, as we talked about in chapter 1, there's a stressor, and all of us differ on our levels of how that stressor affects us, right? So, for instance, you've got a leak coming out of a underneath your cabinet, one of your sinks, like in the bathroom or the kitchen or something like that. Okay. Now, if you're a plumber, your stress level is probably really low, because you realize this is something that's probably a very easy fix for you. If you're pretty handy at fixing things at your house, again, your stress might be a little bit up because maybe plumbing's not necessarily the main thing you're good at, but you figure you can deal with it and take care of it. So stress is a little bit higher, but you're like, all right, I can do this. You're somewhat handy, but plumbing has never been something you're really good at, so stress is higher. Or you're one of those folks that when it comes to home improvement stuff, you leave that for the experts, right? You're the one that's leaking. You don't want your house to fill up. You're calling a plumber. You don't know, it's late at night. You don't know if you're going to get a hold of anybody. Your stress level's up there, right? So depending on where you fall on that continuum of that particular situation, the stressor is the same. It's the same type of leak, but because of who you are, what you know, and how to deal with that situation, your stress level changes. Stress and deep sleep. The link between stress and restless sleep is well established. When your mind's constantly running and going, it's hard to sleep. When you've got something that's just on your mind, even if you fall asleep, you're in and out, you don't really get that deep sleep. Okay. Stressed individuals will fast heart rates instead of just being nice and calm and relaxed and slow. Patterns were similar to those seen in insomnia, suggesting common pathway. And stressed individuals also wake up more often, and have fewer episodes of deep sleep. So, again, you're in and out of sleep. So assessment 1, rate the frequency with which you experience symptoms of stress. Do you get headaches, tense muscles, sore neck and back? Fatigue? Are you tired? Again, if you're stressed, you're not getting good rest. You're probably tired, or just, again, like I know folks that they'll talk about when they're going through some like serious emotional stress, and they get, they get done with that, that maybe they had a really hard conversation with a family member, and it was just, spend a couple hours really, digging into it. And afterwards, they'll be like, man, I am tired, right? Anxiety, worry, phobias, right? These are all things that people worry about, they're fearful about, right? Difficulty falling asleep, irritability, insomnia, bouts of anger and hostility, boredom and or depression, right? So again, remember we talked about distress on both ends of the spectrum. So most of this you see on here has been at the far end where it's like, high anxiety, high that. Again, remember boredom and depression also can be high distress on the other side. Two, eating too much or too little. Again, when you're stressed out, we have folks that, like especially when I deal with folks with diet and everything, are you a stress eater or are you a stress fast? Some people, when they're stressed, their stomachs in knots. They don't want to eat. Some people, when they're stressed, eating is a way of compensating and calms them down, right? Again, stress can cause stomach discomfort, like I just said, so diarrhea, cramps, gas, constipation, restlessness, itching, ticks. Doesn't mean that you're more susceptible to ticks, T-I-C-K-S, but you may have little things that you do. So again, when people are stressed, some folks may have a thing where, I don't know if you guys can see my little picture here where you might maybe blink an eye or something along those lines, or you have some people have these natural tendencies to have ticks when they're stressed. You may notice, oh, they haven't done that in a while, and maybe it's because they're not stressed, and all of a sudden you see it pick back up, right? Grinding teeth, clenching jaw during sleep. You wake up and your teeth are hurting, your jaw's hurting, difficulty concentrating. A lot of times when you're stressed, it overconsumes your mind, so the other tasks you got to get done, you have more difficulty doing those, okay? So here's a form. So again, you can list all these different issues that you're having, basically, and then the frequency. So it's almost every day, all the way down to never, and kind of in the middle, it happens 2 to 3 times a week, and so on and so forth, right? So the more often you experience symptoms of stress, the more likely it is that the stress has a negative impact on your life, right? So negative stress is going to come up every now and again in your life. That's just life, right? You go out to your car and you have a flat tire. It happens, or a dead battery, or something along those lines. These things happen. Hopefully, again, it's not happening every day. But you walk out and you have a dead battery. You may want to check into what's going on with your car, or the tires. Either tire stores, giving you run for your money, or somebody's got a vendetta against you. So those are type of things that usually just happen once in a great while. There's other things that happen every day. Maybe you're having marital issues, or like issues with kids, or your parents, or something like that. That's just an ongoing problem or ongoing stress, right? Lessons from the Titanic. So again, they like to bring some things into thought. The captain of the Titanic was warned 6 separate times to slow down, change course, and take the southern route. He ignored all 6 warnings, was lulled into complacency because he believed the ship was unsinkable. Again, sometimes we don't listen to ourselves, right? And that's a lesson from this, is listen to your body when it sends you signals to slow down, change course, take another route. Sometimes it's not necessarily your body. Sometimes it could be somebody else. They're like, they're trying to help you out. They're like, look, you're burning the candle at both ends all the time. Slow down, slow down, slow down. So it could be you. It could be an outside source. But listen to that, right? Sometimes, especially at the beginning of maybe going through a really stressful season, you feel like you're still in control, and you just keep going, right? And again, physiologically, that could take a toll on you. And again, we saw how all those things play into each other. Right? Perceived stress scale. Rate differing puts in the past month of being upset because of something that happened unexpected, feeling unable to control important things in your life, feeling nervous and stressed, feeling confident about your ability to handle, or feeling things were going your way. Okay. Finding you could not cope with all being able to control feeling you were on top of things, being angered because of things that happened that were outside of your control, and feeling difficulties were piling up so high that you could not overcome them. So again, you can see through this, it has ones where you're like you're overwhelmed or you're in control. Um, but again, with that, it's trying to, it helps you to assess like where you were doing okay and where you were not doing so okay. All right. So here's a perceived stress scale. Again, if you guys want to go through these and take them on your own and do that, that's great. Again, if we're in class, we usually kind of go through these and score them. But I know, doing this over the internet's a little bit different. So, all right. So 0 means that this happens never. To 1 is almost never. 2 sometimes. 3 fairly often. 4 very often. Right. So in the last month, how often have you been upset because of something that happened unexpected? Last month, how often have you felt you were unable to control the important things in life? How often do you feel nervous or stressed? How often do you feel confident about your ability to handle your personal problems? How often have you felt things were going your way? Right. So again, we've got most of those seem fairly negative, and then you get to that one, right? Or even the one before, So again, it's asking both like positive and negative questions, right? So 4 and 5 are more positive, so hopefully, that's where you'd want to score high versus the other ones you'd hopefully score low, right? In the past month, how often have you found you cannot cope with all the things that you have to do? The last month, how often have you been able to control irritations in your life? How often have you felt that you were on top of things, and how often have you been angered because of things that happened that were outside of your control, and how often have you felt difficulties were piling up so high? So again, when you score this one, it says, remember, reverse score for 4, 5, 7, 8, because those are the positives, right? So if you had a 0, the 0 is a 4. If you had a 4, the 4 is a 0, so to speak, right? So again, why would you do that? Well, you want to ask positive questions, right? And so you don't want to have a different, now again, what you could do is on each question, you could have a different scale, so to speak, but to save time, you just put the scale at the top of this, and then again, usually most people don't take this and score it themselves. A lot of times somebody else will score it for you, right? So whenever we do research, this is a fun thing that you get to do in research is you score everybody's stress scales, and then you've got to go through and remember which ones you reverse do it, right? And again, if you see a low score, this means low stress. So again, if we have time in class, I may have you guys go through, or if you have time to go through this, we'll score it, and you guys can, again, whether you want to share or not, you'll be welcome to do that. Okay. Again, the perceived stress scale is your perception of events, right? And that's always important to remember is, I think sometimes when you can realize that you are perceiving an event rather than the event itself. Now again, there are certain events that are just huge. The death of somebody close to you is huge, right? And again, it does happen to everybody. And maybe that helps to put perspective sometimes that is something that happens in life. But again, for everyone, that's a big one, right? So when you have somebody that you're very close to, that you love dearly, and they die, everybody's going to perceive that as a major negative stress. But a lot of things are just those other things that just happen a lot that, you know, you can look at other folks and think, you know, how would so and so, you know, how did they deal with this when they're going through it versus somebody else, right? So again, you know, you have a flat tire. You know, I mean, to some folks, man, that can be a huge stressful event where other folks, you know, they looked at it, there's, hey, it's a solvable problem. Yeah, I'm going to be a little late to my meeting or whatever it is. They change the tire, they're good to go, right? And sometimes putting in perspective, because you may be one that's like going to one end of like this is extreme, but then looking at, you know, this is a manageable situation. Sometimes, you know, you can work yourself into having a new perception on the event. Okay. Inventory of college students' recent life experiences focuses on occurrence of stresses and hassles developed especially for college environment. Right? So again, these, you know, at Kaiser, sometimes many of you are age, or no, you're not living in dorms, or you're not, you know, a little bit different, right? But some of this will apply to you, some of it won't, right? So conflicts with boyfriend, girlfriend, family, being let down or disappointed by friends, conflict with professors. Hopefully, that's not with me. Social rejection, too many things to do at once, being taken for granted, financial conflicts with family members, having your trust betrayed by friends, separation from people you care about. You know, most of you, you know, live here in Miami area, so that's not, you know, that may, for the most part, may not be you. But this one's really thinking about, you know, like freshmen that go off to college, right? You know, and this first time they've lived on their own, one, and two, you know, they could be several thousands of miles away from their friends and family, right? And so again, that can, you know, that can definitely be a stress. Having your contributions overlooked, um, you know, again, that can be, you know, that can be something that can carry into, you know, to your professional life as well. Struggling to meet your own academic standards. Some of y'all have really high standards for yourselves. You know, hey, I'm gonna be a straight A student. It just didn't quite work out. You know, you weren't prepared for how hard college might be, or the career path you chose to study for, right? A lot of responsibilities. You know, sometimes, you know, some college students have a lot of responsibilities. You know, many of you guys do. You know, I mean, most of you have, you know, jobs. Some of you are married. Some of you have kids. You know, I mean, so you have, you know, a full-time demanding life outside of also coming to school, right? Some other college students, you know, they're off, you know, basically just going to school. They don't have to worry about a job and so on and so forth, and it's a lot easier for them, right? The satisfaction with school, and this isn't what you thought it was going to be. You know, you don't like what you're learning. You don't like, you know, I don't know. You know, you're not satisfied with how it's working out for you. Decisions about intimate relationships. You know, either you're not finding the right guy or girl, or you're finding guys or girls, but again, either you're too busy or they're not the right ones, or and you can't even get, you know, you're fishing right now, but ain't nobody biting the bait, right? You know, I mean, they're beyond any of those ends, right? And those can all cause you some stress. Um, Not enough time to meet your obligations. You know, sometimes, you know, you've got um, 40 hours worth of work that's got to be done in the next 24 hours, right? Dissatisfaction with your mathematical ability. I don't really have math on there in particular, but I guess that's one. You know, I know some folks that struggle with math, so I guess that maybe that makes sense. I don't know. I would actually be one of those. I'm like, oh, my math's good. But yeah, I know some folks that, like, whenever they're asked to do equations or math, they're like, just like mine, and, you know, like, can't do this. Important decisions about your future career. I mean, this this to me was probably one of those things that I struggled with because I've shared with some of you at some point, probably maybe not all of you, that yeah, I switched majors 16 times during my undergrad and my master's program, and I just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. And again, it was this pressure I put on, and this is the rest of my life. I'm going to be doing some of the rest of my life, and I actually have an undergraduate degree that I really don't use. I got a bachelor's in business administration and management. Again, I mean, I've been in managing positions from time to time. To be honest, I don't think I really used much from what I learned in school. I don't feel like I learned a whole lot, to be honest, in that particular program. But a lot of it was kind of common sense to me, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, and again, I still look back and I'm like, okay, am I exactly in the right field? And I mean, it can be a big decision. So, but sometimes some people just know. I mean, I don't know how many folks we have come to our school that are, you know, they're determined they're going to be nurses, right? And that seems to be our biggest program. Everybody comes in there to be a nurse. Right? And again, not everybody that comes into our school is going to be a nurse, and that can be stressful when they realize that they don't have what it takes to fit in that program. Same thing when folks have been in my program and they realize they don't have what it takes to be in our program. Okay? Financial burdens. Most of you guys have taken out student loans. You're trying to pay your rent. That stuff piles up. Fixed, and you're like, okay, I gotta take on more debt getting a car payment because you gotta have a car or something along those lines. Right? Satisfaction with your reading ability. Um, again, to me, I get some people have trouble with math, but I feel like reading is something we can always improve. The more you read, the better you seem to get, I would think. I don't know. Important decisions about your education. Again, that goes into the whole making decisions about your life. What do you do? Loneliness. You know, according to Britney Spears, is killing me. Right. You know, I don't know what to. There's just times in your life you feel alone. And again, doesn't mean that you don't have lots of friends. Or sometimes you just don't feel like whatever is going on in your life is something that's shared. You're able to share with everyone too, right? You know, hey, I always think about that line. Water everywhere, not a drop to drink. So you're in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by water, but none of it is something you can drink. You can sometimes feel like that with relationships. You've got people everywhere, but you just feel alone, right? And you feel like, man, whatever you're going through, whatever you're dealing with, is not something that anybody else is going to get, right? Even though you're surrounded by people. So again, doesn't mean that you're like isolated, and again, that can be it too. But again, you can feel lonely even though you have people around you. Lower grades than you hoped for, right? You're like, straight A's, oh, straight C's. Conflict with teaching assistant or assistants. You guys don't have teaching assistants, so guess what? You don't have to deal with that. So there, helped you out with one. Not enough time for sleep. Again, I know some majors that, man, they really push them, and they give them some weird deadlines. I had friends that were architecture majors, and they get these projects, and all of them would be up at the architecture building like day and night for days, sometimes doing these projects because they'd have only like 2 to 3 days to get it done, and there are these major drawing projects or major CAD projects on the computers that they're designing, and not it was basically you had like 40, like I said, you got like 40 to 50 hours of work that's due in like 2 days, and so the only way to do that is to actually spend the 40 to 50 hours trying to get it done, and so for 2 days straight, they're just up there going, right? Conflicts with your family. you know. So then you're in school, but then you got life outside of school, and you can bring that in, right? Heavy demands from extracurricular activities. Again, you know, our school's a little bit different. We don't really have a lot of extracurricular, but say you're at a normal college, you may be an athlete, maybe you're part of these different clubs, you're, you know, in a sorority or fraternity, you know, you've got all these things going on, right? On top of the fact you got a lot of school going on. Finding courses are too demanding. This is stress management, so this course is not really designed to be really demanding, so you guys can kind of breathe easy for this month. But again, your chem class can be very demanding. You know, your exercise phys class can be very demanding. You know, some of them are really, you know, a lot of information in a short amount of time. Conflicts with friends, right? And again, that stuff can carry into class, unfortunately. And hard effort to get ahead. You know, sometimes it just seems like some folks just got it easy, right? Somehow they just, man, they get ahead. You know, things just work out, and you're busting it, and it's just not working for you. Right? Poor health of a friend, you know, or a loved one, you know, disliking your studies. You know, you're in the middle. Now you're like, this isn't really what I want to do, but you know, now do I switch? Man, you know, especially you look at our school. You know, our school's very heavy in the core classes, right? You don't take I don't say blow off classes, but a lot of universities you take for the first 2 years are pretty much all general studies, you know, and a lot of times that can be a good thing because if you're not, you know, 100% sure what you want to do while you're taking those and you take some electives that maybe dive in a little bit into some different things, you may weed out what you don't want to do, you know, and eventually find your path of what you'd like to do. But, you know, you think of programs like ours, you kind of jump in, you know, at Kaiser and you know, after going through the A&Ps and a few other like math courses and English courses, then you jump right into the core, right? And now you've taken like 8 classes and you're like, this isn't what I was thinking it was going to be. And that can be hard, right? Getting ripped off or cheated in the purchase of services, man, that's, you know, you get swindled, right? And that can be, oh, you know, and especially when it's really expensive. Social conflicts over smoking. Again, you know, hopefully none of y'all are smokers. You guys should know better. We're in the health field. So hopefully the conflict is with you or somebody else in your life that you're trying to get them to stop smoking. Difficulties with transportation. You know, you don't have a car, you don't have a reliable car, you don't have, you know, you need to ride, you aren't reliable, you know, those, yeah, you know, when you're dealing with trying to get somewhere every day and you don't know how you're going to get there, that's tough. Disliking fellow students, right? And I don't like any of y'all, so I get my state. You know, I mean, that's tough. You know, you got to come be in an environment almost every single day with somebody you just don't get along with, right? And again, in our classes, you know, right now you guys are all separated, so maybe for some of you, if you don't like somebody in the class, you're like, oh man, this is great, I don't have to deal with them. But when we're all together, that can be an issue. Conflicts with boyfriend, girlfriend, or spouse, right? You know, and again, that can carry into the classroom. You know, you just get in a big fight, and you know, you're now coming in to take a test, and you're like, you know, you can't clear your head of that. Dissatisfaction with your ability at written expression. You know, you want to say something, but you just can't, you know, and every time you write, you feel like whatever you write comes across the way you want it to. You know, interruptions of your schoolwork, social isolation, long waits to get service at bank stores. You know, man, I hate waiting lines. And being ignored. You know, you know, nobody likes to be ignored. Even introverts don't like to be ignored. If you actually spoke up a little bit, you know, you're like, this is my time. never say anything. Why are you ignoring me? Dissatisfaction with your physical appearance. That's pretty much 99% of us. You know, even folks that are like great shape are usually not completely happy. Right? Finding courses uninteresting. You know, again, this one is one of those. I'm sorry for this. Gossip concerning someone you care about. You know, including yourself. You know, nobody likes to be gossiped about. Nobody likes to hear gossip about people that they care about. Failing to get the expected job. Man, yeah, that, you know, I've applied to jobs before in the past, and you're like you just feel like you should get this one, right? And you don't. I'm like, what the heck is going on? You know, and you find out so and so's nephew got the job that, you know, is a higher up that, you know, that place. You know, it's even a little bit more angry. Dissatisfaction with your athletic skills. Yeah, pretty much that was my entire life. um, and I loved athletics. I was never very athletic though. Ardell Wellness Stress Test. Holistic approach incorporates physical, intellectual, emotional, spiritual, and social aspects of health with balanced assessments. Again, choice of college. You know, you wanted Harvard, but you're here at Kaiser. Choice of major area of study. You know, for the most part, you can choose what you want to do, but some, um, you know, so again, I know a lot of you that are thinking grad school after this program may go through that. You know, maybe you're thinking, all right, I'm going to take my MCAT, and you don't score well, and you can't get into medical school. Now what? You know, or you don't score well on your GRE, and they want to accept you into a PT program. You know, now what? Marital or relationship status or lack thereof. You know, that can be stressful. You know, folks that are married or in relationships can be stressed, and those that are not in either one can be stressed because they feel like they should be in that. Friendships, right? Some friendships can cause a lot of stress. Some friendships can make things better, right? So again, especially, I didn't really address this at the beginning of this one, but this one has everything from ecstatic down to completely dismayed. So again, you know, any of these things can be a positive and negative, right? Capacity to have fun, right? Sometimes, you know, some people are like, oh, I'm the life of a party, and some folks are like, man, no matter what I do, just think some other great. Amount of fun experience in the last month. Some of y'all had stressful months. You know, I think pretty much all of us would be completely dismayed at this point with what's going on with the, you know, with having most things shut down. Now things are starting to open up, so you know, things are going from -3 to -2. You know, maybe you're at a -1 now, depending on what's open and what you like to do. Financial prospects, right? You know, I mean, maybe you just won the lottery, yeah, and then, you know, +3. You know, some of y'all, you know, you just got your last paycheck, and you're like, man, what are they taking out of my paycheck now? Right? Current ability to meet the expenses that you got. Your spirituality, you know, some of y'all might feel really close spiritually to where you need to be, and some of y'all can feel very far away. Level of self-esteem. You know, some of you know, hey, I'm good enough, smart enough, gosh darn it, people like me. And some of y'all are on the other end of it where, like, man, I'm just worthless. Prospects for having an impact on those who know you and possibly others. You know, like, what kind of impact do you have on others' lives? Your sex life, you know, maybe good, maybe bad, maybe somewhere in between. Body, how it looks and performs, right? You know, and again, those two things can be in opposite perils, right? You may look in the mirror and be like, man, I look good. Then you go to play basketball and you're like, man, this thing performs like a junker, like got a sports garbage engine. What's going on, right? You know, yeah, I don't look all that great, but I perform well, you know. Or maybe it's, you know, both positive, both negative, you know. Relationship with family can be good or bad. Happiness with current living situation can be bad. Learn stress management capacity. Some of you are like, I got this. Some of you are like, I got a lot to learn. Nutrition, health, and fitness choices. Some of, you know, and I haven't been able to lift weights and since sometime in March. I'm not feeling good about that. Now I've been running a lot, so that's all right. Man, this getting yoked out, right? Nutrition definitely I've been stress eating a bit, so not so good there. Life skills and knowledge of issues and facts related to your studies or future career. Again, could be good or bad. Ability to recover from disappointment, hurt, setbacks, and tragedies. And again, that one is like you could view that as like you're pretty good at doing that in general. You could look at that like how things have been going the past year. Maybe it's not you're not as good at doing that because you have been in the past year. So I mean that can some of these can ebb and flow, right? Confidence that you currently are or will be in the future reasonably close to your highest potential. And again, that can be good or bad because if you feel like you're about to tap out potential wise and you're nowhere near where you want to be, right? I mean, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. You know, back in my late 20s, physically, I was tapped out, athletic wise, where I'm like, man, I'm right towards the top of my potential. And it was not near where I wanted it to be. And that could go, it's kind of like it's kind of a kick in the face, right? Or sometimes it's like you're just right there career wise or whatever else, and that could be a good thing. Right? Achievement of rounded or balanced quality of life. Sense that life for you is on an upward curve, getting better, fuller all the time. 2020 hasn't been that for me. I just want to shut it down. I mean, to be honest with y'all now. Level of participation in issues and concerns beyond your immediate interest. Role in some kind of network of friends, relatives, and or others about whom you care deeply and who reciprocate that commitment to you. And emotional acceptance of the changes the passage of time brings. Kind of a weird way to state that, but you just emotionally you can deal with the fact that change is going to come. As you get older, things are always going to be changing. Right? Again, this helps you to interpret it. So again, if you score high, you're a self-actualized person, nearly immune from the ravages of stress. You're like, I've got this dog. There are few, if any, challenges likely to distract you from your sense of near total well-being. Or on the bottom end, you're a candidate for major psychological care with virtually no capacity for coping with life's problems. You need to be put in some type of home because you can't take care of yourself, right? I mean, it's a very vast difference. Most of us will fall somewhere in between. Student stress scale, life event scale, created specifically for college-age students based on life event scale. Then, here's the stress scale. Death of a close family member, death of a close friend, divorce of parents, jail term. This one, again, major personal injury, illness, marriage, getting fired from a job, failing an important course, pregnancy, sex problems, serious arguments, change in health of family member, change in financial status, academic major, trouble with parents, new girlfriend, boyfriend, increased workload at school, sustaining personal achievements. So you scale all these, and 300 or more statistically you stand, and almost 80% chance of getting sick in the near future. 149 or less, you have about 30% chance of serious health. Basically, it's looking at your stress and how that's going to impact and have a chance of you having, like being physically sick or being healthy, right? Time tip. Using Planner helps with prioritizing and planning. Again, checking a task. Again, some of you get stressed out thinking about having a planner. If you're those folks, maybe we say it for you. But again, maybe having like small little to-do lists sometimes. I'm a non-planner person, but if I have a to-do list, again, I like a short to-do list. When people pile on my to-do list, it does not make me happy. when I have a short to-do list, it does kind of help. When I go through and I can scratch through, and I'm like, that's done, that's done, that's done, right? Some of you like to have everything planned out. So again, it just kind of depends a little personality-wise, but it does give you a little boost self-esteem as you accomplish things, right? So it's one of those things that's why we like fitness, right? You get better with fitness, you check it off. It was one of those things that I remember going through school. Wanted to be able to bench press a 45 plate on each side. You hit that check mark, boom. All right, moving up, you start adding more weights, and then you start getting to that point. You're like, can I get the double? I want double plates on each side. Boom, you check it off, right? And you just keep moving up. And you're like, I want the triple plates. Boom, check it off. FYI, I never got to the quadruple plates on each side. Once I got to the triple, I got a little bit over that. I don't think my body has the capacity. So I realized I don't think I have the capacity to get to the quadruple plate. Now I'd be happy if I could get back to the triple plate. After having several shoulder surgeries, I'm still north of the double, but getting back to that triple is that would be a cool check off again. Stress vulnerability factors. Assessing the vulnerability of stress is important in managing it. So again, genetics, coping style, thinking style, environment, social skills. So genetics is not something you can change, right? So when I look at something like that, I'm like, sometimes I wouldn't want to know genetically. It's one of those things when they ask, like people ask you, like, if you knew the day you were going to die, or something like, I don't know if that really helped me out much. It's a lot of times when you have genetic issues, sometimes I wonder sometimes if we're better off knowing or not knowing. I guess it sort of goes down to your coping style, because I guess if you have a propensity to get stressed out, maybe if you're smart enough to realize that, you're like, okay, there's certain things I should do so that my genetics don't cause me issues. Where other people, it's almost like a self-determining theory that they're going to fail, right? So I guess it's good and bad depending on the person, or it becomes an excuse, Environment, sometimes you can change your environment, sometimes you can't. Or you can make slight changes, but you can't make the changes. Just depending on where you're at. Coping styles, yes. You can work on different coping styles. Thinking styles, yes. And again, these are things that you have to work on and practice and get and do. Social skills. Some people are just born with good social skills. They're good people. They're good people. I don't know how you say that in a plural term. Like somebody's a people person. Yes, there are those that are out there that are people. Anyways, some of y'all just have good social skills. I am honestly an awkward person socially. I've had to work on. Some of you might say, yeah, you still need a lot of work. So great, thanks. Would be a jerk about it, but no. Yeah, and then there's some folks who are just natural. Like, I have some of those friends that be like, yeah, they get along with everybody, and everybody thinks they're fun and cool and whatever, Like, I want that, right? But alas, was not my thing, right? So I've had to work on being better socially. Okay. Stress vulnerability questionnaire. Again, we've gone through all these questionnaires. On your own, just for the sake of not boring you to death and repetitive with all these. You guys can go through this and score it. Here's the second part of that. All right. Tombstone test. How do you want to be remembered? The choices you make can determine your stress to a large extent. Assess what is important. Live your life so you'll be remembered for what is important to you. Again, sometimes, basically, this one's looking at, don't get caught up into your day-to-day, because your day-to-day, you don't want to be like, he was at work every day on time. Or, she was, she was good at making sure to eat her breakfast every single some of those things that like you get sometimes overwhelmed on a day to day. You don't think about you know what impact we want to leave, right? And that's what this one is. What's the impact you want to leave? Daily stress diary. Monitor your stress the same way you would a food diary. Again, some of you don't want to write all that stuff down. It would stress you out. Just if you're the type of person that likes to do diaries or you journal things, you write things down, this may be something that's like, hey, this will help. You're on the total opposite end of that, like me, don't do it. And again, it helps you watch your patterns, maybe things you can avoid or change or do better with. All right, so in conclusion, stress can be measured from various perspectives. Physiological indicators of stress, your perception of what is happening, sources of stress, the frequency of the hassles, the level of satisfaction with the events in your life events you have experienced. Again, when you can look at all these things, and especially sometimes when in a way, step out of yourself and look at the event and be like, okay, I know this is destroying me, this is killing me, but is this that bad? Physiologically, should I allow this to do this to me? And sometimes being able to step back from situations and look at it from all these different levels and all these different perspectives, it can help you be better at managing your stress. Right? And again, that's the thing is, many of us know folks that are just always easily high stress. Doesn't mean that people have to be high stress, but we can work on being better, right? And again, that's the thing that this class is about stress management, right? So how do we get better at managing our stress? Because stressors will always be there, but we can always get that better at managing it, right? And these are some tools you can use to see where you're at and see where you'd like to be. Okay. Again, lab 2, I got lab 1 up, which is not the same as what we have in the first slide, or not lab 1, assignment 1. We'll start working on labs here soon. We're not going to do those yet. Still with the whole COVID thing, I'm trying to figure out lab times and some of the things that don't worry about this. This is their labs that they have posted on here. We will look at starting doing labs in the second week. Some of these will be things that I'll send out to you, and some of these will be things where you guys can actually come on campus and we'll work on coordinating times. Okay. That's it. I will do chapter 3 next, and see you then.